Welcome. I'm going to walk you through how to add your spelling inventories to the Toolkit for Words Their Way. The first thing you'll want to do is register, and in the back of your book, there is a code. There's the website and a code that you need to use to register. You get this support for 1 year. Once you do that, you will be able to sign in and then it will give you the course because you will have access to the Words Their Way and Vocabulary Their Way series. So we are going to work with Words Their Way. This has information about what this PD toolkit includes. So it has video clips and assessment tools, which we'll be focusing on. But then there's also word sorts and games that can help you get started with your word study in there. So make sure that you check those out. What we're going to do today is walk through our assessments. I want to talk about our inventory. So I clicked on assessments and I want to create a new class. This is going to be our practice class. And in my practice class, I have 2 students that are in 2nd grade, and they're just going to start today and end on Tuesday, less than a week of class. So you can import your whole class into here, or you can add them in just by adding their class roster, typing in their names. I'm going to have 2 students. One is going to have a primary spelling inventory and another is going to have an elementary inventory, just so we can see the difference and see what happens with that. So our first student is going to be Wilson. And we don't have a group assigned to him yet. If I did, I could add that, but I don't have one yet. So I'm going to add Wilson, and then I'm going to add Blair as well. And both of those students were added up here. So we're going to save. And so I'm ready to look at Wilson's assessment. I already gave him the spelling inventory, and I gave him the primary spelling inventory. And so I'm going to look at it in a worksheet view. So here's what it would look like. Here's our stages across the top, and then here's the features right going down. So you can see within what stage they're in, just to kind of get an eyeball view of that. So Wilson, right off, he did spell fan correctly. I could check all 3 of those, but I want to make sure that he gets credit for spelling it all correct, and the whole word is correct. So I want to make sure that he gets that credit. So I'm going to click spelled correctly. He also spelled pet correctly, and did correctly, Rob correctly, hope correctly. When we get to wait, he does have a W and a T, so our initial and final consonants, but my vowel sound is not correct. But then we can go to gum is spelled correctly. Sled is not. He does have that blend, but he does not have the vowel correct. Same thing, or actually different, for stick. It has the blend, has the vowel, but doesn't have that that ending final sound. So I'm not going to count it as right, even though the feature points he gets 2 out of 2 on that. Shine has that digraph, but does not have that vowel sound. Same thing for dream. Has the blend, but not that long vowel sound. And for blaze is the same thing. Has the blend, but does not have that vowel sound. And you can already see that he is getting those blends, but that vowel sound is hard for him. Except on this word, he spelled coach all right. So I'm going to give him points for both of those. Then we get back to has that blend but doesn't have the vowel sound, spelled it F-R-I-T. And chewed has the CH, but does not have our other vowel or our inflected ending here. And crawl has the CR, but does not have the AW there, or that other vowel sound too. Wishes is all spelled correctly. Thorn is all spelled correctly, and shouted is all spelled correctly. So here was able to get those other vowel sounds and the inflected endings on both of those. Here's where vowels become an issue. Is spoil is not spelled correctly, has OUI, and growl has OUW as well. Third does not have the IR, but does have the TH, so is able to have that digraph there. Clapping, oh, sorry, I missed one. Camped is not spelled correctly, doesn't have that inflected ending. Tries does have the TR. See, we can see right now, okay, got those blends, definitely nice. But the when we get to the inflected endings and have our doubling rule, does not have that, and then does not drop the E on writing. So we already know that we immediately can see some of those things as we kind of go through that, what he has. But let me go ahead and say, and we can see it's going to highlight those for us, definitely. Okay, short vowels, everything, but he did not have the E there, spelled it with an I. And then common vowels. So we know immediately this is where he's going to be placed within words early in that stage. Those common vowels, those vowel teams, this is where he needs to be working. And as we continue through, does have some of those other vowels, but not all of them, and also kind of has an idea of inflected endings, but with not some of those rules. Drop the or change the Y to I, or a doubling rule, or dropping the E as well. So here's your feature scores and your totals, and also how many words he was able to spell correctly. So you do get that with him. So let's return to our class roster, and we will look at Blair. And we had Blair take the elementary inventory. So I'm going to click on elementary this time and show this worksheet for Blair. And Blair was able to spell bed, ship, lump, float, train, float, train, place, and drive as well, bright. And this is where we started having, has that digraph, has the short vowel, but it does not have this inflected ending with the doubling rule there. Oh, it does not have that. So they only got 2 out of 3 points on that, and the word is incorrect. But spells spoil correctly, and serving, and carries, or chewed and then carries, marched, and shower. Bottle has that, and flavor, but here's where we start making some mistakes. Has ripen, does have the P and the EN, but does not spell that whole word correctly. So I'm not going to check this. Doesn't have the whole word spelled correctly. Let's put WRIPEN. Same thing for seller. Does have the LL correct, but spells it with an ER, so that whole word is not correct, obviously. Pleasure does not have either one of our advanced affix or the base or roots for this. Fortunate does have the OR in our other vowels, fortune, but does not have this base, is able to recognize that it's or, but does not have this base word nor have the affix there. Does have confident spelled correctly, but then when we get to civilized, does not have that base word spelled correctly, but does have that affix. Same thing for opposition, has the affix, but does not have that base word. Um, so we can see really does a nice job, and you can start to see where those mistakes are happening within that spelling stage with affixes and the base word as well. So I'm going to save. And again, we can see that more easily right in here. And we will, you can also export it. I didn't show you that with Wilson, but you can export this. So you can print that, have that for the file, have that for your reference, pull that out quickly so you have that nice visual to see. So it will pull it up nice for us to see. I do wish it was in color like it has in the other, but this works well as too. So we're going to return to class, and here's some things that I can do with my class. It can give you a classroom composite so you can see how your students did with their scores on the features, the feature points, and how many words they were able to spell correctly. And you can see where they got those points within each stage. And you can see, okay, common long vowels there. Those vowel teams was where Wilson started to struggle. And then here with Blair, we noticed that he started to struggle with those advanced affixes and definitely with those base and roots. So I'm going to go back, and this is one of the parts that I love because it immediately is putting my kids into groups where I could see where it was at, but just gives me a nice visual of putting them into groups into those stages immediately. So I can manipulate those. I can go ahead and just say, okay, I need Wilson in group number 1, and it's going to highlight any kid that I put into group number 1. It's going to highlight them, color code them to help us organize those words their way groups. And then I could say, okay, Blair, I need him in group number 2, and he's going to have his own color. So we know that Wilson is in words their way pattern, the early pattern, and we were able to identify when we exported his information that those other vowel sounds, that's definitely where I need to focus on within pattern. And then we knew with Blair those advanced affixes were giving him problems as well. So that's later in syllables and affixes. So I would be able to find exactly where he needed to start. Love to have this nice visual. I can't print this where it's a download, but I mean I can go up and print, so I have that as a quick reference as well. So that is your PD toolkit for Words Their Way and how to input the spelling inventory and be able to put your kids in groups and see what stages they are working in, so you can do a great job of planning their individual instruction. Thank you.